Well, life got away from me, as it does. We all know this. I've been neglecting my channel, which I feel terrible about. But I've been busy. It's busy season at work. It is what it is. Little brother bought a farm, helping him get all set up there. So I've been busy doing that, camping, and just living life, as best as one can during these times. But I figured I'd bring you along for the ride of what we're up to today. When brother bought the farm, it came with this old tent shed thing, whatever you call them, and it has no tarp, which is fine. And I've been looking for a solution to my wood storage problem because I don't want to have the tarp on there in the wintertime because it just sucks. You have to brush all the snow off it all the time, and like all your wood comes in covered with snow, and then it makes a wet mess in the house when it thaws. Anyway, make a long story short, I don't know how big this thing was. So what I've done is the guy marked it in a way that I can't figure out, some kind of encoded marking system that makes no sense. But what I did was I assembled two sections just to see how big it is, because I don't know how big it is. So it appears that it's about 14 feet wide and 24 feet long. So what my first thought was, well, I'll set it up beside my wood pile in this area behind me here, and I'll use it to pile my wood for next year. But then I got to thinking, well, I'd really like to cover my wood that I have right now. And the stuff that I cut this winter, I can just put it in a pile and throw a tarp over it and deal with it in the spring. And likely what I'll end up doing is moving it at some point. But for now, rather than move the wood pile, I think it's easier to just assemble it around the wood pile. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep carrying forward. And my plan for a cover, I might just throw the tarp on it immediately just to see how that goes. But these things blow away all the time. I see them destroyed. I'm going to try to find a couple more of them. I was thinking about using pellet shelving and then cutting them, buying like 16-foot uprights and then cutting one side of it lower, putting them back to back and making like a peak and all that. That was going to end up costing like $1,000. And I was like, no, that's more than I want to spend. So for this, I paid free, which we love free. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for some recycled metal roofing or tin, and I'm going to tin it like a carport. And I'm just going to tin it. I don't know if I'll come all the way down to the ground or stop 3 feet short. Regardless, it's going to be tinned to about, which way do I move my arm? Right there. We're going to tin it down to about there for sure, and whether we go the rest of the way, to be determined. How I'm going to hold it down to the ground, still haven't figured that out either. But for now, I'm just going to assemble the frame and just see what it looks like, figure out how much tin I need, and start looking for recycled tin, whatever it is, old roofing, something like that. Anyway, we got it all laid out here-ish, and piece by piece, we're going to throw her together today and see how that goes. So, off we go. Well, it's about a week later. I was able to get it up last Sunday there, get everything set up. I've spent the last week looking for tin and I am not finding it. But what has a week done to the seasons? We're in full-blown fall mode now. And I don't know, I like the fall. I get excited about the fall, probably because ice fishing's coming. I like me some ice fishing. But I can't seem to find a good deal on tin. I don't know what it is about tin. But figured I'd just shoot you this video. So where we're at right now is frame setup, obviously. I'm searching for tin for the roof. I'm going to run the tin the long way. So the ribs will be going like left to right instead of up and down, which is going to cause the snow to want to sit on here a little bit. If need be, I'll add purlins under the ribs. I'll just rip 2x4 down to whatever size rib is on there, and I'll just lay them across the top and I'll screw them through the tin into the pipes. For the base, I've got got a line on some old railway ties, and I'm just going to leg bolt it to the railway ties. And honestly, I think that's going to be good enough. I don't think it'll blow away. Not with 600-700 pounds of ballast holding it down. Also, in the back corner here of my yard, unless I get a direct west wind, and it's got to be a really strong one, it rarely flips the cover on my hot tub. So, I mean, once or twice a year, it'll flip the cover off my hot tub. I don't even do anything to hold the cover on it. That's how little wind I get in my yard. So I think it'll be okay. So that's what we're going for. I'm trying to find materials. I was hoping to find materials this week and then finish it this weekend, but everybody wants like $1 a square foot for tin, which seems ridiculous to me. Even used tin that already has holes in it. And that just seems unacceptable. Like, you know, why can't a guy just find some tin that came off a building for little dollars and silicone the holes and screw it on his woodshed? You know, that's what I want. But that'll conclude that portion of today's video. So that's where we're at with that. We're gonna get there, but it's probably not gonna happen as fast as I like. Now that the leaves on the trees have changed, I'm in full-blown, oh my God, I better get everything done because winter's coming mode. And one of the things that I have to deal with in winter's coming mode is the heater works in this truck, but it does not want to go into full-blown defrost. And when you live in the northern climate, you get snow in winter, and especially in those transition seasons in spring and fall where it's, you know, just below freezing, just above freezing. It's really hard to keep the window on this truck clear, I noticed. And when it's raining, it's near impossible. It just does not blow enough volume of air out of the defrost. And everything seems to be working now. So one of the things I discovered, bear with me here, bear with me. One of the things I discovered was on the primary vacuum line, because it's all vacuum controlled. You see that? See how it's like thin in the middle there? I guess this got too close to the turbo and collapsed a little bit. Now I'm able to still blow air through here, so it was getting some amount of vacuum inside. And this was underneath the hood. This is your primary vacuum line right here that feeds your, for lack of a better word or not knowing what it's called, I'm going to call it the control valve. And that control valve takes your vacuum pressure coming from your vacuum pump and it directs it to several actuators underneath the dash that open and close various flaps to configure your air to come out wherever you want it to come out. So what I did, just a quick repair, you can see down in here. Let's see, that's my hand. If you look down in there, see how the tube gets bigger? What I did was I just siliconed a piece of fuel line, the smallest diameter fuel line I had over, and I cut this piece out. So I definitely have good vacuum pressure in the cab now. And I know that because I could start it. Oh, I gotta go to the other side to start it. I know I've got good vacuum pressure because this actuator is for your AC vent, and this is what opens and closes the flap to suck in air from the outside, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. But what I do know is I just had the truck running. I pulled the vacuum line off the bottom of it, and it gets really good suction when I hold my finger on it. Not only that, when I switch it into AC mode, this thing just goes straight up. Like, it has no problem. So one of the things I did notice is I can't get a good defrost volume of air coming out of this thing, but it has ridiculous floor heat. And I come to look under here, and here's something to keep in mind, and I know we talked about this before. This dash has been out of this truck before, which tells me, and it's been out and put back in a way that has every sign that it wasn't done properly. So I believe that there's something missing off of here, off the bottom of here, because you can see where, right here, there's this little tab. Something's supposed to click over this and probably funnel air out somewhere else. I think this might just be the dump for the foot, but having this giant opening right next to the blower, the blower's over here. Actually, it's really not that next to the blower's way over here. But regardless, having this giant opening is likely causing it not to force the volume of air up. So I think that's part of the problem. But here's another thing I just noticed a couple minutes ago, is it looks to me like that's an actuator rod that is just laying on the floor. So, although I really didn't want to do this, it might be time to start pulling this dash apart and see what's going on in there. I think that's the only way I'm going to figure it out. I don't care really if it works. What I really need it to do is I need it to go into defrost and or floor with defrost, because cold feet and no visibility is no way to live your life. And I want to see where I'm going, and I want warm feet while I'm doing it. So I'm gonna have a look at what's going on with this actuator that's definitely not hooked up, and see if that isn't part of my problem. So I'm gonna take some of the dash apart and we'll reconvene. I have a lot of reluctance to want to pull the dash out of this thing, just because I know these dashes get brittle and crack, and this one, I mean, it's dirty, but it's all there. So I got to thinking, you know, I can see quite a bit of what's going on underneath there just when the truck's running. And so what I did, I'm going to show you, walk you through kind of what I figured out here about this heater system and how it all works and where my problem is. Unlikely that anybody else in the world is going to run into this problem, because this is somebody else caused this problem kind of problem. Although I guess one guy caused a problem somewhere, it's possible another guy causes the exact same problem somewhere else. Regardless, what I'm doing is what I did was I fired the truck up, because you got to have the truck running to get that vacuum signal coming from the vacuum pump, and using my, I'm going to call it the control valve, because that's all this really is a valve that's directing air to various places and actuating various actuators. Using this valve, try to figure out what's doing what. So I'll start the truck up and I'll kind of show you what's going on here as best as I can. It's going to be loud, but bear with me, because I think this might be some useful information to somebody somewhere. So with the truck running, fan on. Actually, we'll put the fan on low, make it a little quieter. So I get underneath here. Get underneath here. And right there, that silver thing, shine my light on it. Oh, and flip phone. Should have maybe did a dry run on this whole thing. That right there, I believe, can't you see it, but I can see it. There's the camera on this thing. There it is. That right there is the actuator for my defrost. So put you up there so you can see where it's attached to that little lever. And when I actuate my control valve, it does things. I don't know that it's doing the right things, but it's definitely doing things. So we're going to assume that that's working because it's moving when I turn the knob. And we come around the other side of the truck. Come around the other side of the truck to that actuator lever that I was showing you guys that's laying on the floor. And when I turn it to, right now it's in full defrost. That's in defrost with foot. That's in, I think, just feet. Foot with hand, foot with blowing in your face. And then we're getting into the AC modes. See how it's not, obviously not hooked up, right? So I stuck my fingers under there where I think it might go, and I can feel the end right here. I can feel the end of a rod, and that rod is attached to that flap. And that flap, right now I have it all the way, I'm gonna call it closed. That flap was all the way open. That flap that moves in there. And when that flap's all the way open, if you were to imagine, there's a piece missing here. On the end of this rod, there should be a lever. And if you imagine where that lever would be when it's in foot mode, it would have that door all the way open. It would be all the way forward, which would be all the way open. So what I did is I took a piece of wire, I bent a hook on it, and I got in there and I pulled that door so that it's all the way closed, like you see it there. And now with that door all the way closed, everything works, except now it doesn't want to divert any air to blow towards your feet. So what I think I'm going to do for now is I've obviously got to go to the junkyard and find the little lever. Where did my actuator go? It just disappeared in there. Oh, it's stuck up in there somewhere now. And it probably doesn't like that. There we go, got it back on the ground. So I gotta try to find that little lever piece that attaches on the end of the rod that is the hinge for that flap, and then I will be able to control that. If I want a little bit of floor heat, I guess I could open it. The problem is, as soon as I touch it, see how I touched it there? As soon as I touch it, it wants to just go all the way open, just floor heat. So I don't know what I'll do. Probably try to fix it properly. I gotta go to a junkyard and see if I can find some parts for this thing. If I pull this console out, I'll be able to access it a little bit in there. I think all I need to do is find that rod and just slip it on. I don't think, there's probably a circlip maybe that holds it on, but I should be able to do all that without pulling the dash. Worst case scenario, I could drill a hole in that. This is redneck and me shining out. I could drill a hole in that and just attach this wire to it and have it like a manual flap control. I can't even say it without laughing because it's so ridiculous, but it would work. It would work. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're gonna shut this thing down. So right now I know where my problems are. I know that I don't need to pull the dash out and deal, because the most common, it seems, problem that people have with these is with this selector switch, that you get a leak in the connector. There's like 6 lines or 5 lines coming out of here, and then there's a connector, and your supply vacuum line comes in, and then it's diverted, right? So if you get a leak anywhere in that connector, it usually makes everything not work. That's definitely not my problem. My problem is just that somebody took it apart and probably broke it and didn't fix it properly, or something like that. So it would be nice to find the piece that clips on here and likely narrows down, which gives you your foot, directs the foot air at the foot well, instead of just dumping it in the middle of the truck. And the lever that goes on the end of the hinge that is that flap. And then I can hook up my control rod, and then I would have fully functioning controls. But with this door all the way closed, everything actually works except for just floor heat. It seems like you even do get a little bit of wind blowing out at your feet there, but probably not enough to keep your feet warm in the winter. So I would like to get that fixed properly if I can. So that's good progress for the day. I'm happy about that. I'm happy about that. That's going to wrap it up, because I think I got to cut grass and start mulching leaves. We're getting to that time of year where I got to mulch the leaves almost every day for about a week or two until they're mostly on the ground, and then I don't rake or anything. I mulch. I like mulching. I like to put the leaves right back in the ground where they came from. I don't understand those folks that put all their leaves in bags and haul them to the dump. It just seems like unnecessary dumping. Howdy. Well, I ended up getting off work early today, so I went by the local wrecker, and I found this Dodge, and it has the piece that I need. It's got the diffuser. I grabbed this other lever, but it's not the right lever, and all I got with me is my pocket knife and my Leatherman. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to cut, I've already got a lot of it cut out of the way, cut all this plastic out of the way so I can get this sucker off here without breaking it. I don't know that I can, but this one just, this plastic's so old and brittle. When I popped this one off, 2 of the clips broke, but if I've got the piece, I can JB weld it or something. At least I can make it work. For all I know too, just based on what I'm feeling under there, my lever might still be under there, because I know now which way it orientates. It orientates towards the front of the truck, so I didn't know that. So it might even be that mine's still on there, and I'm gonna guess that just like this one, the tab's broken off of it. So we'll see what I can figure out here. Making do. Well, after our successful trip to the junkyard, this is the piece we need. I gotta throw it in there. It mounts, it orientates towards the front of the truck like that. That lever clicks in it from the bottom, and it goes in right there. So, let's see if we can get her done. There's no way I can film this without taking the whole dash apart, so I'll show you the after. This is an exciting moment. Man, was that ever hard to get in there. But we have done it. That's defrosting floor. That's all floor. And then upper vents. all the way back to just defrost. Keeps that door closed. Defrosting floor. You can barely see that lever moving back there, but man, was it tricky to get that metal piece on there without breaking that 20-year-old plastic. But I did it. Now I just gotta put my director diffuser thing on, and yeah, we're fixing to have good heat this winter. That's exciting. That was one thing I really want to make sure I got done before winter, was get the heat working in this thing. Yay.